I think about where Grace was at when we moved here from California, and I think that there was maybe 400 students or so. And I remember specifically praying for, I think the number was like 625 students.
Yep.
And we had these little tags, on our desk and things. And I remember praying and saying, like, Lord, that would be amazing if we were able to get to 625. And then over the years, we've seen God continue to add to the Grace community. And I think what is amazing is that Grace hasn't seemed to lose the known, valued, loved community aspect.
One thing we had noticed in the Grace community is that there was a heart for adoption. We noticed that a number of our students that we had taught over the years had been adopted. And so we had always felt like we might adopt. We just didn't know that we would only adopt, that God would build our entire family through adoption.
So coming into a community like Grace was amazing, and especially being able to not have kids at that in the beginning stages, it was like everyone became part of the family. God made it so clear what steps we were to make. He didn't give us the full rundown, which is probably really helpful for us, but He's really good at giving us those little step-by-step moments of faith. And when we do that, we get to see Him unfold beautiful stories that we would have never expected.
One day, the week before Mother's Day, we had been praying about having children. And the thing was, we were starting to feel the pull towards adoption. But at the time, private adoptions are very expensive. And at the time, it would have been my Grace salary for the year to adopt a child. So we didn't know how that was going to work. So we were asking the Lord to give us a clear confirmation or sign. So I had prayed on a Tuesday night for God to give us a clear confirmation. So the next day in my kindergarten class, in the middle of a math lesson, a little kindergartner who's now a Grace alum, Abby Hare, raised her hand and she said, "Mrs. Whelpley, I had a dream last night that you and Mr. Whelpley were at an orphanage and we were all the orphans and you adopted me for $2. I prayed that night and I said, Lord, you confirmed it. Would you confirm it one more time? So
that fleece just getting thrown out
I know,
there.
just throwing out the fleece. So Tuesday was the first prayer, Wednesday was the kindergartner's dream, and then Thursday, I had been starting to ask questions to my room mom at the time who had adopted 2 children. And I started asking her questions about adoption, what it looked like, how to get it started. I didn't ever say, we are definitely adopting. Well, she ran up to me after school that Thursday and she said, Mrs. Whelpley, I had to find you and I don't want you to feel awkward about this, but my husband and I feel compelled and led to give you and Mr. Whelpley $5,000 to start your adoption fund. And in that moment, I just felt the Lord say to me, Happy Mother's Day, Kat. You're going to be a mom and I'm calling you to adopt. And from that point forward, we started the process, our adoption process, and the Grace community rallied around us. Our church put on some different fundraisers and things to come together as a community to make this adoption happen. And a year later, from the time of that prayer and the dream and the Grace mom coming up to me, we had the full adoption amount in our adoption fund that the community had just come around and supported us. And so the cool part was when we actually got matched for adoption, we both were able to, Isaiah on the upper campus and I on the lower campus, got to announce over the intercom that, I said, I won't be at school tomorrow because I am gonna be home with my new son. And we just heard roaring, cheering through the hallways of people, hollering and cheering. And really, all these students had become part of the process. I had kindergartners that would come up and bring handfuls of change from their piggy bank or their allowance. This is for your adoption fund, Mrs. Whelpley. And we would put, and I know you had students that would come, like high school students. So we would put all of that into the adoption fund and they just felt a part of it.
I also think that the amazing thing about the idea of being known, valued, and loved, especially for our kids who are coming from places of hardship and where they're not necessarily known, valued, and loved by other people in their biological families, that for our kids to be able to be part of the community along with us, and it's pretty funny to watch our kids interact with people on the campus, because they are always like, how does everybody know us? And the reality is that they know them because of the fact that they've rallied around us for all of these years, and that they want to continue to get to know them, which is, I think, amazing, because Zeke in particular, who was the one that in the beginning stages was, heralded as like the project, the promised child, he is now going into 4th grade, and the teachers that are teaching him know the story from years ago. And there's this sense of, we knew him as a baby and as a kid, but now we're getting to see him in the newness of who he is, and in his different giftings, and in his creativity, and all of those things, which I think is amazing. It's amazing to think about, what will the future hold? If we've already seen God sustain us and be a great foundation for the school, what is he going to do? What does he have planned for us for the coming years? And so we're excited about that. I think one of the things that we probably are most excited about thinking about the future is how students are growing in their faith. That is a huge piece for things that we have a passion for, is watching kids grow in their understanding of the gospel, grow in their understanding for the lost, for people, growing in abilities and creativity in sciences, and all over the, all those things, I think are opportunities where we're excited to see them grow and to use their faith as catapults into those different areas.